Presenting the First Amendment freedom of the press. Note, this video is somewhat sarcastic and is not meant to be taken completely serious. Once upon a time, there was this country called the United States that had the Articles of Confederation. The economy is pretty much falling apart, and people are starting to realize that maybe the Articles aren't such a good idea. So then the Founding Fathers come up with the Constitution. When people think about the Constitution, they usually think that the ratification went pretty smoothly, like, here's the Constitution, it makes the government more stable, and it's also a lot more awesome. Cool, man. Give me a few seconds, we'll have it approved in insert name of state here. Actually, the response to the Constitution was more like, the hell, man, there's nothing to stop the government from becoming a tyranny. Because as you know, they really didn't want a tyranny. It just didn't go over well with them. They even had a tea party with the British to talk about it, but the British weren't too happy. Hey, Britain, we're having a tea party in Boston protesting tyranny. Want to come?
Bloody hell no, President.
So then we've got the people who say, wow, this Constitution is the greatest idea, and the people who said, it doesn't protect rights. Shoot it and kill it with fire. Though I suppose there are fence-sitters because there's always people who are neutral. Although the name's not too fitting because no one's actually going to sit on a fence. That's just uncomfortable, okay? The people of the states refused to ratify the Constitution unless there was a Bill of Rights added. The Bill of Rights is basically the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Now that we've covered the history, let's look at the First Amendment, or more specifically, the freedom of the press expressed in the First Amendment. Freedom of the press gives the press the right to write whatever they want. They use the word press because when they wrote the First Amendment, the printing press was how all the news got around. Nowadays, we've also got television, radios, magazines, pamphlets, and sometimes books. All that together is called media. But freedom of the press sounds cooler than freedom of the media or freedom of media, so that's why we still call it freedom of the press. At least I assume so, because obviously that's the only logical reason to keep that name. So because of freedom of the press, people can publish what they want and the government can't arrest them for it. The reason behind freedom of the press is to keep the public informed. Our Founding Fathers felt the people had a right to know what was going on. There's 5 parts to freedom of the press. Freedom from prior restraint. Media can publish stuff before it's released, and if they publish part of your work before you release it, that's really too bad. So guys, this person was arrested.
That news is not yet released. Take back that issue now.
Hello, I am freedom of the press. Freedom from punitive censorship. You can express your ideas and opinions, and nobody can arrest you for them. Good if you're the one telling the offensive ideas, annoying if you're the one they're being expressed to. And now to the news.
Oh no! What's that?
It's censorship! It's censoring the whole station!
No!
Never fear, for I am here!
We're saved!
There's right to collect information, which is self-explanatory, and also right to have access. Basically, anyone can have access to information so they can collect information for right to collect information.
See?
Okay. I promise I won't judge the next time a drunk man pouring whiskey on his pancakes tells me about the gremlin that follows him everywhere and records all his conversations. Right to distribute information. You can publish collected information, and because of the first 2 freedoms, the government can't punish you for publishing your story, which is awesome.
We're doomed! The world's gonna end! Get a pamphlet to find out how to survive!
Do you think he's right? Also, the freedom of the press means that the government can't tell the press what to publish either. But as I say, there is an exception to everything, but that makes me wonder, is there an exception to the saying there is an exception to everything? Freedom of the press cannot override certain laws which fall into these general categories. Obscene material. Child pornography, for example. It's pretty self-explanatory, except for the obscene part. They had a hard time defining obscene. Eventually they decided that if something's obscene, it poses a danger to the nation and or a class of citizens. Protects national security. If you're going to publish stuff that endangers the U.S. and or its citizens, that's just not cool, though.
I'm gonna publish this article on how to make hydrogen bombs.
Hell no! That is definitely a danger to the United States. What if we have a nuclear meltdown and the apocalypse comes? You may not publish this.
Aw.
Defamation includes slander and libel. This is when media intentionally publishes a false story, which also just isn't cool, bro. Here, I'm gonna publish a story I heard.
No! That is a false story and you are charged for defamation.
But doesn't the government publish false stories to cover things up? Sedition. Conduct that encourages people to rebel against the government. Which really isn't very considerate of those that practice sedition. Don't they know what rebellions do to the traffic? This pamphlet says we must rebel against the government. Let's have a riot.
You kids get off my lawn!
And then there's general laws. For example, copyright still applies, and you can't violate people's privacy. Freedom of the press also holds publishers accountable for what they publish, and doesn't hold them exempt for general laws. And that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video because it was a pain to animate, especially in 1 week. The end.